YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me yet, my name is Michaela Shannon. I am a fitness enthusiast, Disney crazed individual, yoga enthusiast, and just an overall healthy lifestyle advocate. Today I'm going to be doing a sit-down video talking a little bit about my diet, what I eat, why I choose to eat the way I eat, and just share everything with you just so we can be on the same page and you can learn more about. So one of the biggest questions I get asked is if I follow a diet. Am I following an actual diet? Am I a vegan? Am I a vegetarian? Am I forget what it's called. Do I just eat meat? Do I follow a paleo diet? Do I do, I don't know what the term for it is, but it's basically if it fits your macros. Do I just eat to meet my macronutrients? What do I do? That's something that people have been asking me for years, even before I started getting on social media and YouTube. So I'm gonna be here today to explain to you how I eat. So let's do a drum roll, please. I do not follow a diet. I do not follow one single diet. I am not paleo, I am not vegan, I am not a vegetarian, I'm not a pescatarian. I do not follow one sense of a diet. Now a lot of people do, and if it works for you, then that works for you, and you found what your body needs, and you found what you need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'm the type of person who will start a diet, right? But then after 2 weeks of doing that diet, I reject it, I push it away, I crawl back to my unhealthy ways, I go buy 3 bags of potato chips and I scarf them down. I've learned that following one specific diet and restricting myself in that sense isn't what works for me. Again, that may work for you, and that's wonderful. And I am not a dietitian. I'm not here to tell you what's best for you. I'm not here to tell you what the best diet overall is. I'm not telling you what I do is the thing that you need to do. I'm just here to explain to you what I do. Now, with that said, I've definitely found something that works for me, and I've been following it for years now. It is not what I've been doing my whole life. When I first got into my fitness journey, I saw girls doing these shredded, beautiful, gorgeous women doing if it fits my macros. And so when I was younger, probably about 18 years old, I said, oh, well, if that's what they're doing and that's how they look, then that must be what I'm doing so that I can look like them. So this isn't something that I've been doing my entire life. Again, this is something that was very trial and error, and I found it and I stick with it because I know it's what works best for me. The diet, I don't want to even call it a diet. I follow a lifestyle. I don't do a diet. I don't want to put the label of diet on it. I follow the intuitive eating lifestyle. Now, for those of you that don't know what intuitive eating is, I went ahead and actually looked up the definition because I wanted to make sure I was giving you guys the correct information. So I went ahead and looked it up, and this is how, let's see if I can get it to zoom, or not zoom, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna read you the definition. The question is, how do you explain intuitive eating to someone? Google says, intuitive eating is an approach to health and food that has nothing to do with diets, meal plans, discipline, or willpower. Boom. It teaches you how to get in touch with your body cues like hunger, fullness, and satisfaction while learning to trust your body around food again. So overall, intuitive eating is about trusting kind of your inner wisdom, your brain, trusting that your body is letting you know when it's hungry because you need to eat. Trusting if your body's like, oh wow, I am just craving salt right now. I am craving sodium right now. Eat some salt. I mean, maybe replace that regular salt that you might get from the grocery store with pink Himalayan salt or Celtic or Celtic salt. But eat that salt. intuitive eating is all about trusting yourself and your gut and trusting that you know what's best for you. And I think that is absolutely beautiful because this diet culture is so unhealthy for all of us, because there's not one diet that is perfect for everyone, and that's something that people have to actually understand. You can hear that a million times. You can hear well, I mean, I do this, but that doesn't mean you should do this because different diets are for different people. But until you actually wrap your mind around the fact that just because this shredded girl on Instagram is eating chicken, broccoli, and brown rice every day doesn't mean that, I mean, you have to learn that for yourself, that maybe that diet's not good for you. Maybe that diet doesn't work for you. So I got a little sidetracked, but the reason I do intuitive eating is because when I was about 18 years old, that's when I really started getting into health and fitness. If you guys would if you guys would love to see a fitness journey video where I kind of explain my whole journey, tell you how I got to where I am today, what I've done to get me where I am today, maybe some of those obstacles that I went through in order to make it here, go ahead and comment down below and let me know if that's something you're interested, or give me a big thumbs up on my video, and that'll show me that you want to learn more about my fitness journey. Anyway, when I was 18, I started doing the If It Fits Your Macros diet. And the reason I started doing that is because that's what I was seeing on YouTube at the time, and that's what I was seeing on Instagram at the time. And all I knew at that point in time when I was 18 is that I wanted to look like Heidi Somer's Buff Bunny. I looked at Nikki Blackketter, the Gymshark athlete, and was like, one day I want to look just like you. And so I thought if I followed what she was eating, that would magically transform my body into her body, which is such an unhealthy mindset because she has different genes than I do. She has a different lifestyle than I do. Her body may be able to build glutes faster, maybe mine's shoulders. Different people's bodies react differently to diets, react differently to workouts. So that was such an unhealthy mindset that I was putting on myself. And anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again, but I started with the If It Fits Your Macros. And basically what that means is if it fits your macros means you can eat whatever in the world you want to as long as you're meeting your macros. I used to do the If It Meets Your Macros, and it was the macros that you're tracking are protein, carbs, and fats. And as long as your calories were helping you meet the certain amount of grams of protein that was calculated for you, the certain amount of carbs that were calculated for you, and the certain amount of fat that you were given when you go, for example, like MyFitnessPal, it would calculate for you how many grams of fat, protein, and carbs you could eat. But as long as you were meeting those macros, you could eat whatever the heck you wanted. You could eat ice cream, you could eat brownies, you could eat potato chips, but it didn't matter that those were unhealthy for you. It was, are those calories going toward my carbs? Are those calories going toward my fat? You would have a super fatty breakfast and then couldn't eat fat for the rest of the day because you've already met your macros. So as long as you're meeting those grams, that was what was okay. And I did that for a long time. I probably did that for about 3 years. And I realized after 3 years how unhealthy my relationship with food was. I was constantly thinking about, oh man, I'm at this restaurant with my friend. I know this burger at In-N-Out is like 800 calories. I bet this is just poured over my calories and fat, or the grams of fat that I was given for my intuitive eating, or not intuitive eating, I'm so sorry, If It Fits My Macros diet. And I just had such an unhealthy relationship. I wanted to eat, obviously. I never had a problem eating. Like I wasn't scared to eat, but I was constantly questioning myself when I ate. I was constantly worried about going over my macros. I just didn't enjoy eating, and that was so sad to me because there's something just so wonderful and spiritual about a delicious meal and sitting down and enjoying it. So that's where I came from. I started with the If It Fits Your Macros. I continued with it for a couple years and then realized that me tracking my macros was incredibly unhealthy for me mentally. Again, I wasn't restricting myself in the sense. I wasn't like, oh, well, I'm not gonna eat this. No, I would eat it anyway. I would track it on my macro tracking app like MyFitnessPal, and then I would feel like crap for myself. I felt like crap. I literally would sit there and be like, you are a freaking potato, Michaela. I cannot believe you went blah, blah, blah grams over your fat thing. You're a piece of potato. You need to work out harder tomorrow. You need to do this. And it was really unhealthy. And so eventually I brought myself to the point where I knew how unhealthy it was. And so I deleted my MyFitnessPal app and I stopped tracking, which was a lot better for me. But in the back of my head, I've been tracking for years. I was like mentally tracking my own food in my own head. Because at this point, I knew what felt right, me hitting those macros, and I knew what felt off when I wasn't hitting them. So I did end up deleting that app, which was great for me, honestly. But it did take a year, year and a half, 2 years for me to finally build a normal relationship with food. I'm not gonna say it was a good relationship with food, but a normal one. And then I actually started watching Sarah's Day on YouTube, and she has a paleo-based diet, and I really appreciate her saying paleo-based because she doesn't do it 100% of the time. She does what her body says it needs for her, and I think that's beautiful. But when I started watching her, I was probably about 20 years old, and she was doing a paleo-based diet. And at the time, I was having incredible stomach issues. With my gut was hurting often. I was bloated 90% of the time. My bowels were uncomfortable most of the time. I felt nauseous and sick and just heavy. And I was having all of these issues. And so I took the initiative to say, you know what, Michaela, you're gonna be paleo-based now too. I'd done research on it. And for those of you that don't know what a paleo diet is, a paleo diet's pretty much, you can eat foods that were natural. You're not gonna be eating any processed foods. You can eat lentils and greens and fruit and meats. You're just not gonna be eating processed foods. So I did that for a while, and I'm gonna be really honest, it didn't stick. Didn't stick 100%. Again, I was mostly I became paleo-based, okay? I wasn't paleo all the time. But because I was having all these stomach issues and all of these nausea issues and these bloating issues, I thought that paleo was gonna be the perfect option for me. What's better for your gut and your insides than a completely natural diet? And I went ahead and I looked up the definition of paleo on here, just so, again, we can all be on the same page. Here it is. Paleo diet. It says, a diet based on the types of foods presumed to have been eaten by early humans. Consisting chiefly of meat, fish, vegetables, and fruit, and excluding dairy or grain and processed foods. So that is what a paleo diet is. It's all the natural foods. Now I know some people are gonna argue and say, well, milk is dairy and dairy is natural. I didn't make up this diet. I'm just following what it says. So at the time, like I said, my stomach was having a lot of issues, and I was about 99.9% sure I was lactose intolerant. That didn't mean I stopped eating cheese, because cheese is like my weakness. A good charcuterie board is like where it's at for me. So I was following this paleo diet, paleo-based diet, and my body started feeling really good. You know, it went from feeling crummy all the time, bloated all the time, you know, just irregular movements all the time, unexpected times, to, wow, I feel less heavy. I have more energy. I was full of more energy, and but I was still having some issues with my stomach. So I was like, okay, Michaela, get over yourself and put the dairy in the trash can. So I kicked dairy out of my life. It was not easy. I know a lot of people ask me like, well, how did you get rid of cheese? Wasn't it hard? Yeah, it was hard, but also the symptoms that dairy gave me versus the temporary, immediate gratification of having a piece of cheese, I'm gonna go with feeling better and not having bowel issues. 100%. I would rather feel good than get that 10 seconds of gratification of tasting that cheese. Never been a milk girl. So I ended up cutting dairy out of my life. I was still having grains at the time, so I'm paleo based. I definitely had Cheetos here and there, so it's not like, again, I was 100% paleo, but I was doing my best. Cut out dairy, started feeling 80 million% better. I've never felt better in my entire life in comparison to how I was feeling before. I obviously feel a little bit better now than I did back then because I've been doing it for longer and things like that. But at the time, I never felt better. So I cut out dairy. Now all I'm having is like fish, meats, grains. At the time I was still eating grains, fruits, vegetables, and all kinds of stuff like that. And one of the hardest things for me, I am like kind of going everywhere. My brain's being really sporadic right now, so I apologize if you can't follow me. But at the time when I was following this diet and I kicked out dairy, I started really shopping at places like Sprouts, Whole Foods, and Target, and here and there Fry's, but I really started going to grocery stores that had those diet options. Those, I'm dairy free, but I really want cheese. I want some vegan cheese. I want some dairy free cheese. So I started going to these different places because at the time I was like, oh, I just can't have cheese. I can't have yogurt. But once I started going to grocery stores like Whole Foods and Sprouts, I would go and see, oh, coconut yogurt? Oh, I can still have yogurt. And that was one of the best discoveries of my entire diet, was knowing that I could go to a store and find something that I loved that was accommodated for my diet that I have to follow. So I went to Sprouts, I would go get coconut yogurt, I would go get dairy-free cheese, which isn't always that good for you, but it was kind of a special occasion things. I mean, I didn't have a charcuterie board every single day of my life. So anyway, God, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. So I started going to Sprouts, started going to these alternative grocery stores that had those diet options for me. And so at this point, I am a paleo-based eater with grains in it still. So dairy's cut out, processed foods are cut out, but I'm still eating gluten and grain at the time. So years pass, I'm working out so much, I'm doing so much for myself, and I start getting really, really bad stomach issues again, and I'm getting really frustrated. I'm like, ooh, I figured out my diet. I stopped eating cheese. What do you want? What do you want, world? What do you want? So I started having really bad stomach issues again. And again, I'm not saying like, oh, my tummy hurts. No, like I'm in the car driving somewhere and I'm like, I need to stop at a gas station. Oh my God, oh my God. I mean, guys, this was serious, serious pain. Serious issues. It was awful. It was uncontrollable. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And I know some people are probably gonna be watching this right now going, that's disgusting. Why are you sharing this? And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I thought I was the only one in the world who was feeling these types of feelings and was going through these types of pains and having to get out of my car mid-commute because my stomach hurt, and I'm not. And I'm here to tell you that you're not the only one with those stomach issues either. Now, I would suggest going to the doctor or messing with your diet to try and figure it out. I'm not saying, oh, you have those issues, it's cool, let it be. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that I'm here, I've experienced, and I have done what I need to do to make it better. So it will get better as long as you are willing to do the work and just do what's best for your body. So I'm having these serious issues again. Like serious issues, guys. Like I had a traumatic experience because of these issues, okay? And later on, I'll just go over this quickly. If you guys wanna hear more about this, let me know. When I was about 22 years old, at the time when all of these really, really bad stomach issues, bloating issues were happening, the spring of 2019? So the spring of 2019, I was actually diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So my doctor had pretty much explained to me that one of the side effects of having a thyroid that doesn't work and hormones that aren't regulated correctly can be really bad bowel issues and really bad stomach issues. And on top of that, it was messing with my digestive system, which made so much sense. And then when my doctor told me I probably had this cancer for about 5 years, everything started to make sense. My stomach issues had started 5 years ago, ish, give or take. And I had been working to try and control them for the past 5 years, and I was doing okay, and I was finding things that would help, but it wasn't getting better. And it was because I had a legitimate health issue. So when I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer, it was obviously very traumatizing. And I actually don't have a thyroid anymore. Let's see if you guys can see it. Can you see my scar? Yeah, so there's my scar. I got surgery, they removed my entire thyroid, and now I'm on hormone replacement medication. That's because I don't have a thyroid anymore. I don't have anything regulating my hormones, so I take a pill to regulate my hormones now. And since then, I do okay, but because of that, my doctor, and this is just my doctor, I don't know what your doctor's gonna say, so don't, again, this is just my experience, don't follow exactly what I'm doing. Talk to your doctor. So with my experience with thyroid cancer, my doctor told me that my hormone replacement pills will do a lot better and be a lot more beneficial for me if I completely cut out dairy, which I already had. So he was very like, well, that's gonna be easy for you. But he also recommended that I cut out gluten. So after all of my surgery and my recovery time and just getting my hormone pills to the correct dosage, was really difficult, and that was really hard on my entire system, including my digestive system, my bowel movements, my bloating, my headaches, just everything, my body temperature regulation. So that was really hard, but once it finally got regulated, I did everything in my power to start following a very, I don't want to call it a diet. It is a diet, of a strict diet of no gluten and no dairy. So again, at this time, I am still a paleo-based diet, and I have completely removed grains and dairy, but here and there I would have processed foods. So again, I'm not gonna completely say that I was I was a paleo diet individual. So cutting out gluten is really hard. Again, it's like the cheese. I loved bagels. I loved quesadillas. There were so many things. But if that's what I needed to do to help my system, then I needed to have self-discipline, because self-discipline and self-love it's the same thing, guys. It's the same thing. If you love yourself, you're gonna stick to the hard things because you know they're good for you. And that's the reality of it. If you're not sticking to it, you don't love yourself. Not truly. Not truly. If you have a dream and you know that getting there is gonna be hard, but you're not willing to put in that work, then you don't love yourself enough to get your dreams done, get your goals completed. Anyway, so I did have to set my mind to a paleo-based diet, still having processed foods here and there, no gluten, no dairy. And then about a year and a half ago, I went from tracking my food on a paleo-based diet. I started getting back into it, but then I quit cold turkey again, no more tracking, and I've been doing intuitive eating ever since. And again, intuitive eating is just listening to your body and saying, craving something sweet, I'm gonna have some fruit. I want something salty. I'm gonna have some edamame. Now, I don't always do clean eating, but I would say probably about 80% of the time, I do a really good job at clean eating. I have completely cut out gluten. Dairy's completely cut out, unless it's a special occasion. Every once in a while, I will still let myself indulge, and I think that's part of how I'm sticking to my whole intuitive eating and not eating gluten and dairy, is because I do allow myself to indulge. Now, I'm not talking every 2 weeks, it's, you know, every 2 or 3 months. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of dairy, but I think that is something that helps me maintain the way that I'm eating and the way that I take care of myself. I indulge. Every once in a while I'll have a chocolate chip cookie and it's got chocolates in it, but again, sometimes you have to indulge to stick to your goals. Now, that's not binge eating. I'm not saying binge eating. I am not saying binge eating is okay. But anyway, that's kind of my diet journey and where I'm at now. My intuitive eating, again, I eat very clean. I do have processed foods in the sense that I do still have rice and I do have pasta. Only now, instead of regular gluten-based pastas, I'll have edamame pasta, chickpea pasta, gluten-free pastas instead. So that's pretty much my diet. I'm just sitting here talking. I hope I didn't bore you guys. I hope I didn't give you details you didn't care about, but that is overall where I'm at. Intuitive eating as clean as I can, indulging every once in a while, because honestly, if you don't let yourself have what you want every once in a while, instead of having a couple chocolate chip cookies one day every once in a while, you're gonna make 12 cookies, sit down and eat all 12 of them and feel like crap. So make sure that you do allow yourself to have some fun, even when you're trying to meet your goals. I definitely have physique goals, and on top of other goals like emotional and mental goals, but I do have physique goals, and I'm still gonna let myself indulge every once in a while, because you're a human and this is your one life, and you don't want to make your life miserable because you don't restrict yourself. That's just, if I have any tip, it's do not restrict yourself. Again, I'm not a dietitian. Don't take my word for it, but if I had one piece of advice for you, it would be do not restrict yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're curious on more about my diet, please message me on my Instagram, which is @MacShannon. Is that my name? Follow me on Instagram and go ahead and let me know what content you'd like. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I would love to answer them. But overall, again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any video ideas, leave them below. If you'd like to see a grocery haul, leave it below. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked this video, or if you want to learn more about my fitness journey. And go ahead and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload videos every single Sunday afternoon, so stay tuned every Sunday so you never miss a video with me. Have a wonderful day, guys. Love you so much. I will see you next week.